You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Rookie Blue After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Rookie Blue After Show.
Baby, bye, 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 bye. We're saying bye to a lot of people tonight.
Do you remember the dance to this? I used to.
It was like a fist pump and a jump and a hard stop. Thanks for doing, and we're here doing another AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for Rookie Blue, Season 4, Episode 9, What I Lost. I am Tiona Hobson, and joining me, I've got my two lovely co-hosts.
Hi everyone, I'm Marisa Serafini.
And Anik Dufour.
So I'm so excited. Tonight's episode was so amazing, and the song makes me so happy.
It was so good tonight.
It was really good. It's like what I've been waiting for all
I was
season.
like, I'm so excited, just a build up, and then at the end, I won't get there yet.
We're gonna,
But we'll let it come. Yeah.
So let's get into it. Chris comes back into town to
Diaz
visit.
is back.
Diaz is back. We're like, oh man, we missed you. Welcome
Even though
back.
you've only been gone for like 2 episodes.
A couple weeks, but to me it felt like forever, Chris. Don't ever leave us like that again.
Without a proper goodbye.
Yeah, without a proper goodbye. So Chris and Denise show up at the apartment. They have left Andy with their son Christian. She goes to the park, and how adorable was Andy and Nick at the park with Christian? They were
They realized
just like,
it too.
They were just the cutest little fake family ever.
Oh yeah, totally. And there was a line where Andy said to Nick, because he asked why he got invited there, and she's like, "Well, she was running out of songs, and they haven't hung out in a while."
Yeah.
I'm like, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's really cute.
What a
that was
convenient excuse.
Yeah.
Running out of songs.
Yeah, running out of songs. We'll get more into those
Any excuse
too.
to see Nick, aka Peter Mooney, is fine by me.
I mean,
Hey, we're not complaining.
more screen time for him is better for everyone,
Yeah.
especially the ladies. So this old man collapses and has, I assume, a heart attack of some sort while they're putting Christian in the car. So, of course, Nick runs over there to, start doing CPR. Andy's over here trying to call 911. She can't see clearly, though. So she does, I think what a lot of people might have done. She locks the doors and runs over real quick to give the phone to the man's wife. And when she gets back, someone has taken a rock to the passenger window and kidnapped poor Christian.
Now, how could they not have heard? Because Tiona and I were watching this, and we're just thinking, like, how could they not have heard the rock go through the window break? It's like the kid maybe have like screamed, possibly, but then he knew him, so it's like, I don't know, you should have heard something.
No, and I think you just get swept up in the action. You don't really pay attention to your other surroundings, and you're just focusing on your one thing and kind of get a little bit of tunnel vision. But then even at the end of that, you heard all the sirens. It kind of like reflected what the chaos that was going on in the whole scene. But I just kind of thought, aside from us thinking that it was like the biological father stealing the child, that I don't know, maybe I've been watching too many crime drama shows, but I kind of thought it might have been a bigger plot if this man, so-called collapsing, just as a diversion.
That's what I was thinking
steal
too.
The kid.
Yeah.
And it actually ended up being something different, but I thought if this was like really a premeditated kind of act, kidnapping this kid, they would like go all out and have all these things going on, but that didn't end up being the case.
That's a little more like Law and Order.
That's interesting.
I was thinking more like Criminal
Yeah, like-
Minds.
Because I didn't even go that way. I don't
man.
know if it's like a rough week or something. I didn't even go that way.
I was like, oh no, they're being set up. Like the man's collapsing on purpose so someone can
Yeah.
swipe the kid. But that's usually when someone's after drug money or something like that. When they're after your family for a reason.
Right.
Clearly, this wasn't that well plotted out because we find out after they follow up on a lead because there is some guy who's been hanging out at the park, creepy, in a white van. That's a no-no. No kids, no dog, nothing. Just parks his van there and watches the kids, which
Shady.
very shady. But after we go down the wrong road with him, we find out from a tip line that a kid matching Christian's description was seen at the movie theater, and we're able to ID Gene McKenzie, who is from Timmins and the soccer coach from up there. So immediately my mind starts going into Ryan's prediction from the chat room. Ryan Whittleson, that's the name. Ryan, shout out to you for getting this
out.
right, because that was an awesome prediction. And I told Anik the whole time we were watching the episode, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen right now, but I feel like this is just the plot point and it has to be right because Ryan said it in the chat room and that's just what's going to happen. And so I'm so happy he was right because
Spot on.
Yeah.
spot on with
to
that.
go.
That was really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Chris was just, when they find out who it was, poor Chris is all I could think of at this point, because then he kind of was like, Denise, we have to work through this and we'll make sure it's all okay. We'll still be a family. And I was like, are you really getting soft on me right now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
no,
getting
you
pissed.
don't.
I
You don't.
was
Not
like,
in that
no.
situation.
Yeah.
But we did see that quick moment where he was kind of losing his temper. He was getting emotional. He threw a chair through an office
Yeah.
Yeah.
window glass
I've always
door.
wanted to do that.
Yeah. But, I think that was just his character showing a completely different side that we're so used to seeing, that he's this nice, soft guy who really cares about something to the point where he'll throw a chair out the window for his own son.
Yeah. And I liked what he said when he had Denise planning the meeting with Jean. He said to her, he'll believe you because he wants to. He wants this to be true. And I turned to you at that point too, and I said, oh my gosh, that's what he's doing to her right now. She wants to believe that everything's going to be okay. So I was like, okay, he's not soft yet. Like, he's not going to just let her get away with lying to him and stay with her. So.
And good on Diaz's part for being like, no, we're gonna do this. He took the initiative, even though he did get emotional. He still was in that mentality of we're gonna find our son in the cop way, not as a father, but as a cop. And I applaud him because I think that just shows the growth of his character.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Travis did an amazing job in this episode. It really
did.
showed his, because usually we always see him as kind of I don't want to say one-dimensional, but kind of just this soft-spoken, sweet, guy type of thing. And now we just kind of see the broad range of his acting abilities.
Very true. Very well put.
Thank you.
So, Gene is the father, and basically, by the end of it, when he was in the interview room with, I can't remember who was in there, with Tracy, by the end of it, I kind of felt bad for him because, he's this guy, he knows that this is his son. Denise isn't going to let him get a, paternity test or anything like that because she's in denial about him being the father. She wants it so badly to be Chris's son, and he has to sit here and watch him grow up. I mean, he even said that she signed him up for soccer just so he could see his son once a week at the practices and games and stuff. And I was like, that's so sad.
Slightly.
All he wanted was to.
That's kind of wrong too, because she knew. She practically admitted that, yes, I knew from the beginning that you weren't the father, but I still let you think that you were the father. That's just a little low.
Yeah.
That's messed up. That's like a Maury Povich episode.
It
Or
really,
like a Jerry
I mean, I
Springer.
understand if you want a father figure in your life, and it's kind of good that she picked Diaz over this Gene guy for probably the longer run, but in the end, if you knew that and going into that and coming to the day where you're gonna eventually figure that out, that's ultimately going to ruin your family, not bring you closer together.
It really is. Because, I mean, if Christian had grown up, if Diaz had spent, the next 18 years raising this child as his son and then found out at the end of it, like, that's more devastating than finding out now, I think. So
I agree.
I mean,
I think it kind of shows a little bit of manipulation, too, on Denise's part.
oh yeah, that girl. Ugh. I cannot stand her right now. I'm so angry at her. It's like she's a real person, but I know she's just a character. But if I were to see the actress walking down the street right now, I'm not sure how my reaction would be. It might be a little rude. I can't separate my feelings right now.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's Diaz. He's
Sweet. He doesn't deserve that. He said he changed his whole lifestyle for her, and he basically ruined it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be upset too.
Yeah.
Upset emotional. But can we quickly talk about that secondary story where they were interviewing Mr. Ford?
Oh yeah.
And his brother that was linked to this abduction.
Candy store.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
candy store.
I thought it was funny how he was kind of a candy man, but
Willy
I
Wonka.
digress. Yes, I digress. But the brother who was linked to this child abduction, that still wasn't resolved.
Well, but remember the end of the episode, you see Cruz, she wasn't ready to drop that. And since I think
Yeah.
she's off her meds, she's going to become addicted to this man and basically start stalking him because that's what she's doing at this point. It's harassment, her being outside of
but-
his house, staring in. Why he didn't notice that she was out there, his windows were wide open. Look
Right.
over, I mean, feel the presence looking at you. But
I was just still kind of upset how sometimes each episode they don't really resolve certain things, and they
Yeah.
didn't resolve this one, but it kind of led to something bigger that we might see in the future.
yeah, I think it's something that will definitely be carried over into the next few episodes.
Yeah.
hope.
So
I
it was
think he
kind
may
of like
have
they
something-
planted the seed, and so
Yeah.
now we just
Yeah.
have to wait for it to kind
Yeah, I
of.
think he may have
grow.
something to do with something. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, still can't explain a lot of his actions and
Yeah.
the play set in the back of his house, and that other kid who went missing from his candy store, and he drives a white van,
And
goes
they
around with
yeah.
candy for
They
kids.
have a candy store filled with kids every single day.
Those kids
How
in
many
Willy
more
Wonka
kids
never
are-
came out.
How many more kids are missing? That is true.
That's true. Only one came out. I don't know what happened to the rest of them, and it haunts me to this day that I don't know if Violet is still a blueberry or whatever she turned into.
All right.
Anyways,
We digress.
we digress. And since we have a minute right now, I want to tell you guys, if you haven't already done it, make sure you go on to serialbuddies.com and download the movie Serial Buddies. It was created and produced by our own Kevin Undergaro and Maria Menounos, and it's only $4.99 to go download it, guys. It's not that expensive, and it's a hilarious movie with an all-star cast. We've got Christopher McDonald, Henry Winkler, Maria Menounos, Kathy Lee Gifford,
Beth
Beth Bears from
Two Broke Girls.
Two Broke Girls. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's hilarious. You can also find it on demand right now, too. So, I mean, it's so simple to do and download. So make sure you do that. Help us help you out here. All right.
There you go.
There we go. Now let's get into the steamy part of the episode. Nick and Andy. Forget the fact that they lost a child together. Like we're gonna put away the bad parenting skills and only focus on the good stuff.
But that's the thing, they're not exactly parents yet. They have
Yeah.
a lot to learn,
They've
not
got a
just
lot
in the
to learn.
police force, but just in life.
Yes, that is very
You don't
true.
leave a kid in a car by
They're
himself.
not rookies in the force, they're rookie in life. Parental life.
Maybe they need Swarwick to train them in life now.
There you
Now that he's trained them as
Or even Ollie.
or Ollie. Ollie might be better at that.
He's been through the ringer a few times
I love
with
how
his
he was in
daughter.
charge.
I did
tonight.
too. It was kind of it put him in a different light that kind of, setting the stage as well for something else that could happen for his character moving forward. I wish Celery had been there to see. I just love them together. So Nick has this whole talk with Andy, or Andy brings it up again while they're at the park. I heard what you said. I still need to think about it. There's 3 things that, are reasons why we shouldn't do this. One is that you just broke up with Gail. BS, who cares? 2 is that they work
That's kinda like a
together.
girl
Together.
code
Yeah,
to
I mean,
think about.
but 2 is that they work together. Weren't you supposed to marry one of your coworkers, Andy? Another BS excuse. 3 is that people would think that it started undercover. Who cares what people think? I don't.
No.
No.
So those are
'Cause
my.
that's when it started.
Yeah. It was like, I mean,
not
sure,
lying to yourself.
nothing happened, but that's where the start of like this friendship grew, and every great relationship comes from a friendship, right, guys?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what they keep telling me anyway.
I know, right?
And when people get married, they always say they married their best friends.
Which I think is kind of a slap in the face to the best man and maid of honor standing there as your best friend.
Yeah, right.
One of
Right.
your best friends. One of your best friends.
I totally get that.
I went to a wedding last week. Clearly, I have some feelings on this subject.
It's any consideration.
yes,
All my friends are
again,
married.
Yeah.
They're good friends.
They're good friends, and
Yeah.
I mean, her excuses or her points were valid, but at the same time, when you know, you just know. Sometimes you just have to face the problems that are going to come with the choices you make. And I just wanted her to be like, who cares?
All right.
Damn the man.
I think it's really interesting how this time she's going the more rational approach, because we know that Andy's an emotional person. She usually acts on emotion out of like, she wears her heart on her sleeve, and she just she acts first and thinks later. But this time she's really thinking first. So maybe there's something about Nick that really makes her change and becomes a better person, or because she's literally thinking this out
She was taking her time.
instead
Yeah.
of acting it out.
And it kind of helps when a guy tells you, hey, look, you gave me these reasons and I think they're BS. And it makes me believe that I still have a shot with you and that there is a chance. So I will wait for you as long as it takes.
And Tiona and I are waiting for those guys.
Yes.
Same here.
Marisa, too.
We are all waiting for those guys.
I mean, you know, when you have that kind of freedom, and then, I mean, on top of that, she just watched him play with the kid in a park and was the cutest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those two had a moment together too
Yeah.
in the party. Like there was eye contact. They're like, "Yeah, this could be us one day. We could have our family."
Yes, so we're very happy about them finally making that happen, because that last scene with them all over that apartment, knocking stuff off the
out of
shelves,
everything.
and, ooh,
They don't care.
they don't care.
They just don't.
They just don't care. But now they have to deal with the wrath of Gail. But I mean, Gail. Let's talk about Gail. My topic for Gail is Gail. Let's be honest.
That's genius, actually.
So we've got Gail
Fitting.
going on these blind dates and whatnot.
Yes.
Set up by her mother.
Set up by her mother.
What was with that
Interesting.
British
Weston?
guy?
His name was
who
Weston.
From Nottingham.
Yeah, from Nottingham.
Bunch of Robin Hood.
Robin Hood,
references.
yeah.
Loved that. That was awesome.
And I like how, you know, Gail's just not buying any of the crap he's spitting out. And he even says, so I grew up around here, but I lived in England for 2 years. What's with the accent then, bud?
He's like pulling a Madonna. I don't know. Like,
But I love how Gail just is so honest and open. Like, this is not going well for you. Do they have alcohol here? Actually, there's not enough alcohol in the world to get me to go to bed with you. And these are the moments that I love about Gail, because she is very straightforward. And sometimes it's appropriate and it works. And then there's other times when she's dealing with, oh, I don't know, Chloe.
yeah.
And you just feel like Gail is like the big mountain lion and Chloe's like this little field mouse who has no chance at survival.
And yeah, the thing is that Gail, she does it to everyone, even
Yeah.
though she doesn't realize the people who she should be straightforward with and who she shouldn't be. These guys that she's getting, like going on blind dates with, yeah, that's fine, because you're not going to build any relationships in
Right.
the future. But your coworkers who you're going to see like every day and have those kind of friendships and relationships, then you're going to kind of hold your tongue back a bit. But she doesn't have that filter.
No, she doesn't.
But that makes her character like all the more it makes her stand out more from everyone else.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So
I like the whole little Chloe and Gail moment at the end.
That was.
It's a little bonding type of thing that happened. Maybe they'll braid their hair next week. I don't know. Braid each other's hair.
Who knows? And
I think it's actually good that Gail's giving Chloe the hard time because it feels like even though Chloe is this, as Tiona called it, field mouse, she is this little person, but she can take it. She can handle it, and she won't do all over it. So
And she dishes it back, so she's
yeah, it's actually kind of cool to see Chloe get the butt end of it, but just brush it off like nothing.
yeah, like nothing happened. And I loved also Gail this episode. Her and her forensics friend. Their little
Holly.
Holly. That's her
Holly.
name. I always
Yes.
forget that name. Holly. They're kind of cute together. Holly makes Gail do things that Gail wouldn't normally do, like the batting cages and just
That was hysterical.
yeah. You know, it's like Gail's finally met her match, and she just needs to, let's be honest, about herself. And one of the things that she said to Chloe though was that Chloe isn't afraid to be herself. And when she said that, I was like, oh, because you're a lesbian and you're having a hard time coming to terms with being yourself. So I hope that's what she meant there, because that's how I took it. But I mean, I guess everyone has
Yeah,
their own
and
interpretation.
Yeah.
I think that's nice too. And also, maybe when Gail said that line, she kind of realizes Chloe's open to things. And then the next time we see Gail, she's open. She's trying this new batting range that she's never done before. So she realizes that if she's open to stuff, things might be actually turn out okay.
Yeah. Hopefully they will for her. Sorry, I was.
Well,
trying
she
to-
makes her happy, which
Yeah.
is kind of like, oh, finally, Gail's happy. She smiles. She has teeth. You know,
Laughing,
This is
actually
cute, yeah.
laughing.
actually laughing and actually enjoying herself.
yes.
Yeah,
Which is different.
it's nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice change, though.
It is. And speaking of change, don't change the dial, but make sure you go onto iTunes. That didn't really make sense, but we're just going to go with it anyway. Make sure you go into iTunes and rate and comment on our podcast. Make sure you give us 5 stars because we like 5. 5 is better than 4. And tell us what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, what we can do to change. And let us know if there's anything that we missed that maybe you guys caught instead of us. You can also go on YouTube and leave your comments and predictions there. We have a fun time reading everyone's
Yes.
comments every
Thank you for the
week, and
comments.
thank you for those. And we try to
those who
respond to as
said-
many as
Yeah.
we can. So who knows? Maybe you'll have the next great prediction of what happens next. So make sure you do that. And then I wanted to talk tonight again about Dove and Chloe. They didn't have much this episode, but they were kind of the background being really cute.
They're really cute.
Just like even from the first scene when, Chris and Denise come into the house and they're just kind of back there, but he's got his arm around her, he's like
Yeah.
holding her close and
Yeah.
everything. It's like, oh, takes one wedding to just make
Yeah,
the perfect
right
couple.
I think it's nice to have that one seemingly stable relationship in the show compared to everyone else's who's like on the rocks or something, just starting or just ending. But those two, they've already started, but now they're the solid couple to just keep watching.
Yeah.
I love Chloe and I love Dove, and I think they're adorable together. I want to see like where the relationship like ends up.
Yeah. That'll be
Because I hope
interesting.
that she like stays around. Like I don't know if she was made like a series regular this season, or if she's just kind of like on like a reoccurring or like guest star type of basis. But I'd like to see her as like a series regular and see her again next season.
Oh, yeah.
I think they'll bring her back.
Yeah, they have to bring her back because I said so. They have to bring her back because I want her there. But I think it's interesting too because you're saying like where their relationship will lead to. And because they're still partners right now. So at some point, is it not okay to be partners with your significant other? Like, would they be broken up in the whole partner realm and reassigned?
You think they would establish those ground rules when they get hired in a division, but obviously those rules have been broken by everyone at the division. So I think they kind of just tossed that theory out of the window.
Well, the thing is with them is they never have the same partner every week. You know, they always there's a lot of
kind of
times they
rotate.
There's a lot of rotation.
Yeah.
But most of the time, lately though, because they're usually like that, but lately
Right.
Dove and Chloe have always been together, and Andy and Nick are always partnered together, and everyone else is still kind of rotating around
Right.
them.
Yeah.
And I know it has to do with storylines and stuff, but I just wasn't sure if maybe the rotations all stopped and now they have permanent partners. And when you become permanent partners with someone, you also become permanent partners in your personal life too.
But speaking of partners, also going back a little bit, that when Nick was defending Andy, he
just
said the
now.
line,
Said that, yeah.
"She's my partner, so yes, I have her back." Oh,
Yeah.
that was amazing. I just like swooned at that line. Loved it. Okay.
Oh, and someone in the chat room, Lions fan, just said that Chloe is recognized as a regular cast member because she's the newest transfer to Division 15.
Oh, fabulous.
Awesome.
Thank
Cool.
you for that.
Fabulous. Thank
That's
you.
why we keep you guys around. You help us out when we don't know what we're talking about. So if that about wraps it up, I know Marisa has some news and gossip for us.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right. So according to TVFanatic.com, they interviewed Chris Milnier.
Minier. Travis Minier. Minier.
Travis.
We're
Diaz.
American. We can't do that.
Yes, Chris Diaz. They interviewed him about his character, exploring a more darker side of Chris Diaz tonight, and especially in tonight's episode. I think we got a little taste of him throwing a chair out of an office window. But they asked him about this whole storyline with kidnapping his son Christian and what that'll do and affect Chris. And he said it. The executive producer, Cassie Camerson, had approached him a while back about trying to alleviate his character, and then he said it would be good because originally, when they were writing the character for Chris, that he was supposed to be this tall, dark, more meaner, aggressive kind of Sam Swark kind of character. But then Travis, he mentioned, he's like, I think it'd be nice to go in a more softer route. Like, he's the kind of guy who will let you off with a speeding ticket and make the audience think, oh, cops aren't all that bad. So he meant this more sensitive route with his character. And they're kind of bringing it back to the darker side that they originally had planned for this character with bringing the storyline in.
Oh,
which
I like
I thought
that.
was really interesting.
I like a darker Chris, because, I mean, how do you come back from that? You can't come back the same person because you have this kid who you still in your heart love like a son. So I'm glad that they're not going to just
exactly.
brush off those feelings and that he will kind of explore and be upset.
Yes, exactly. And he also said one of his favorite episodes of Rookie Blue was season 3, episode 12, called Every Man. I believe that was the episode where he found out that he was the father, seemingly the father, quotation marks for everyone.
Which
who's-
kudos to us, because we've been saying all season that that was not his
he
kid.
was not
Right.
the father.
So
But that was the episode that kick-started this whole storyline of not being the father. And then another thing that I had, that interview in its entirety is available on tvfanatic.com. You can check that out. And then I got the ratings
Yeah.
from last week, August 8th. Last week's episode premiered. And for the broadcast primetime final ratings for the 18 to 49 demographic, Rookie Blue had 4.5 million viewers.
wow.
Yeah.
That's really good. And they took the show off on some local
Because
stations because of football.
Football.
So,
They preempted it.
yeah. So those ratings, that's still good with going up against football.
Yeah,
That's,
this is really good numbers for especially that time slot.
yeah.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Rookie Blue.
Yay!
Those numbers are the reasons why we're getting a season 5. And that is all I have for news and gossip.
All right, let's get into predictions. I also feel like my chair just got
Now,
lower.
your AfterBuzz
Like, let's get a prediction.
There we go.
Oh, what is that?
Oh, there's a cat there.
That's awesome.
Because cats have 9 lives, I guess. I don't know.
In the bullet hole.
In the bullet
For those
hole.
listening on iTunes, Steven put up a cat head in the middle of their bullet hole and the Rookie Blue logo.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Kind of
Steven.
scary. Kind of scary.
Steven, he's so creative.
All right.
Let's talk about predictions. Next week's episode looks like there might be some confrontations. I would actually like to see the opposite of how I think Gail's going to react. I think Gail will react, angry, but I also kind of want her to not. I just want her to be okay with it because it's something that she's had time to process because she saw it happening before they even saw it happening. And she's in love with a girl now, so she can just be okay with it. That's my prediction, is that Gail will have the opposite reaction that we all think she will and just be okay.
Okay, I'm going to piggyback off of that. Okay, Gail is gonna have a blow up with Andy and Nick, be like, "Oh, we're not friends anymore. Yada yada yada. You took my man." And that's gonna make her so angry. She's gonna go to Holly. They're gonna get it on.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, they're gonna make out at least. And so she's gonna realize that Gail's gonna be fine. She's gonna be okay. And then we also saw a quick snippet tonight. We didn't really mention it. That Marlo, off of her meds, stalking this Candyman dude. I'm just gonna call
Let's
him
just call him the Candyman.
Candyman dude. And because she's off her meds, we're gonna see the more aggressive bipolar side of her.
Yeah.
I think they're going to explore more of the whole Nick and Andy relationship, but for some reason, I don't think it's going to last. I know, kill me. I know. I don't. I mean, I think it might. Last till the end of the season, but I don't know if it's going to last farther than that because I'm still a McSwarrick type of person. I think that Marlo, now that she's off her meds, is gonna blow up. Swarrick is gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, what's the matter?" And that's all gonna fall apart. And then Swarrick's gonna be like, "Oh well, I'm really in love with Andy." And then that whole
Yeah, I think Swarrick's is starting to pick up that something's off with Marlo because she came back from Miami and wanted to paint that whole room thing. Homegirl was a lot happier than she usually is, because goes to credit the growth of this character too, because when we first meet her, she's so just emotionless, very straight face. And then today, the first scene we see her, she's bouncing off the walls, should I do it this color, this color, this color? Miami's so bright, it's vibrant, and just bouncing off the walls everywhere. That I was like, who is this person right now? And
makes me think that because she's so happy, she's gonna flip completely 180.
she's gonna do,
and she's gonna have a major turn.
yeah.
She's gonna be, who knows? I think, and if she does flip out in some capacity, maybe that'll force Sam to break up with her.
I think
Therefore,
being the catalyst of Sam wanting to go back to
Andy.
And then I'm here for Nick. And there's a cat. There we go.
So let us know what you guys are thinking. There's already some good predictions going on in our chat roll, but make sure you hit us up on Twitter or whatnot. You can find me at the Tiona Hobson on Twitter and Instagram. Where can they find you guys?
You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Serafini TV.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Anik and my website, AnikDufour.com.
And we will see everyone next week for another exciting episode of Rookie Blue.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.